Hi, Bill Henshaw here again with some observations about the ongoing battle for the presidency next year out there on the campaign trail. And many of you may have read that Elizabeth Warren is now proposing to place 100% plus tax on the rich. Now, that's a rich thought to start with. I mean, but it's not going to work for a variety of reasons. But the amazing thing is that there are people in government that think the government has the power to do that. And by the way, it's what they tell you, and it's not quite as clear. But you read a case that the 904th decided, the U.S. Supreme Court, Enoch v. Williams, 370 U.S. 1, and they said, in effect, the government could tax a taxpayer out of existence without even an administrative hearing, let alone a trial by jury that many of you out there might think you have a right to be heard. Wrong. You got a social security number that doesn't work that way. But the plain fact of the matter is, the problem constitutionally is this, that they're not recognizing states and state citizens who do have rights. And that's the problem. And they think that we all reside in the District of Columbia, 26 USC 7408D. I'm not making this up. And that's where the tax is valid. They think they tell you that your residence can be found for all purposes in the District of Columbia if it's not found in the United States Judicial District, whatever the hell that is. Now, that's the real problem. And it affects a lot more areas than just this one, too. But with corporations, could the government tax them out of existence? It may be they could do it. And bear in mind that the income tax that you're saddled with today and your offspring are going to be saddled with if we don't take things in hand and beat the bastards, all of it comes from, you ready for this? The Corporation Excise Tax Act of 1909. That's the basis for income tax. And that underscores my argument that's related to this, that the 14th Amendment, where it says all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that means corporate entities with a residence in the District of Columbia, and I can prove all of what I just said. But nobody who ratified the amendment was ever made aware of any of it. Now, viewers out there, if anybody give me a suggestion where I could look around and find consent of the governed to the ratification of that amendment, I'd love to see it. And that's how silly this is, and of course, not surprisingly, ideas like this come from liberal left Democrats. Not to say there's as much difference as there once was between conservatives on the right and liberals on the left, but they think simply that we're in what they would recognize as a communist society, when I think National Socialist hits a bit closer to home. Just like Hitler. I mean, the National Socialists did not lose World War II. Trust me, they did not. We're in one of those systems right now. It's almost exactly like it was under Hitler in the 1930s, but they're doing it a lot more cleverly than he could ever imagine. I mean, that's the problem and what's going on and what we have to fix. If we invoke our rights, as you'll learn to do by acquiring my materials, send me an email at uwinnincourt@gmail.com. We can start stopping these bastards in the trial courts and getting them off our back, and at the same time, getting a lot of coverage by media, which I think my Oakland case is going to do now with the recent denial of writ of habeas corpus, and get it out there, and people will become aware of what's going on and that they can take effective action. Now, it takes time and effort on your part. Don't misunderstand me. I'm right now in my fourth decade. I've got 10,000 hours in the law library and a lot behind me that I've been through, including being summarily thrown in jail in South Carolina, 3,000 miles away. But none of that has to happen to you. That's the point of getting my materials, because I can reduce that. It's going to make it easy. And you get familiar with 2 or 3 of my issues is all you need, because you'll be so far ahead of the local dumbass and your defense attorneys, they won't know what to do with you. And in most cases, they'll know that they're going to dismiss charges like they do in traffic courts. The cop doesn't show up in the case. It wasn't so simple in the Oakland case, but it's going to happen there too, because they can't have me on the witness stand and they can't keep me from testifying. I would love to see them try that right now. In fact, the Oakland DA, Nancy O'Malley, if you think you got a way to do that, let's have it. Because you can't, and I'm going to beat you on the witness stand and we're going to clear that case. So if it goes that far, which I'm sure it won't. But getting back to the subject matter at hand, with the government thinking it has all this power of taxation, And that's based, another quick fact here most of you don't know, although if you follow my videos, you should, is that there is no money. I mean, the dollar is undefined. And if it is defined, the Supreme Court has said, although they haven't ruled, this was in a dissenting opinion, but they took notice of the fact that the issue wasn't before them about delegation of authorities, and that Congress couldn't do that because they delegated the authority to the president, acting as commander in chief of the armed forces, to define the dollar during any state of emergency he might care to declare, and he has unfettered discretion to declare states of emergency. And we've been in one of those off and on for the last 85 years. You'll learn all about that by acquiring my materials too. It goes back to the Senate report in 1974 complaining at that time about 40 years of this nonsense going on. Well, it's 85 now, and it's way past time to stop it and do this and help you get your rights back and protect your children and your posterity. It takes time and effort on your part. There are no quick fixes here. Although, as a result of this Oakland case and other ones I'm working on, we may have some pretty soon here, where they see these and they've seen the publicity it's gotten and they know they don't want to get into that same trouble. So that part we'll see about. But like anything else, liberty is worth fighting for. If you don't do that, you know, uh, then I saw a thing the other day. Somebody had a catchphrase on his website that said "No rights," KNOW, or "No rights," NO. And that's what they're doing to us because they know that we don't know, KNOW. When they want to get someone who knows even a little bit, it throws them in. I would love to see them in the back room and be a fly on the wall in a fit of terror because they don't know what to do. Because if you know your rights, you know they don't have any power over you. And it doesn't matter what immunity they think they have, nothing. But anyway, this all comes back, to Warren thinking she can do this on the political trail and just taking the entire wealth of the people of the United States and turning it over to the tax boys and the Treasury and letting them sort things out and trying to fix it. That's not the way it was designed to work. It's not even close. My God, the framers of the Constitution would be turning over in their graves if they could see this. And by the way, up until I think it was Andrew Jackson in his second term was upset because during the year of 1836, the government only ended up with $1 million bonus ahead of the curve, not $250 billion in the red like they are now. And we're headed toward being $1 trillion, quote unquote, in the red because of thinking like this with good old Elizabeth Warren and paying everything off. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but it ain't ever going to work. And I'd like to see some of these lefties finally get that through their heads. It just isn't going to work. It wasn't planned that way. What you do is you have most of this, especially with healthcare, on the local level, county level, not even the state level. Sack with tomato here. County level, much more efficient, less expensive, and accessible. That's the three strike rule. The three strike Washington, D.C. is out of there. That's where it should be. So that said, any of you want to vote for Elizabeth Warren, I'd give it some serious thought if you're a registered voter, which I'm not and can't be. But that said, please feel free to, send me emails about what I've been speaking about here. Like my videos. Tell your friends, subscribe, and send me an email at youwinincourt@gmail.com. Thank you.